Boys, girls, babes, welcome back to the Jenaya Talks Caps podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. Whether you were joining us in audio on one of our audio only platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it may be, or whether you were joining us for the video version over on YouTube, the YouTube channel is under the same name, Jenaya Talks Caps, for those who don't know. But yeah, wherever you are joining us from, we are so happy and so grateful to be able to have you here with us today for this episode 118 of the Jenaya Talks Caps podcast, where we are going to be discussing today, amongst other things, a very exciting development in Washington Capitals Nation as the team's top defenseman prospect, one Mr. Cole Hutson, has officially signed his 3-year entry-level contract with the team, and we could be seeing him rocking a Washington Capitals jersey for a game as soon as tomorrow night, potentially, against the Ottawa Senators. So these are very exciting times as a Washington Capitals fan, as obviously everyone around the hockey world knows what Cole Hutson is and what he projects to be at the NHL level. And so we will get into all of this and more on today's show. But first, allow me to reintroduce today's guest. And most of you know her by now, as she has been joining us here pretty frequently in recent weeks, helping me out with the show and having some really good conversations surrounding Washington Capitals hockey, the state of the team, the state of the franchise, and everything else going on around the league. But for those of you who don't know her, and I do think, by the way, that it is important to kind of reintroduce you here, as we have gotten a ton of new listeners, new subscribers over on YouTube, tons of new viewers in recent weeks. So I wanted to shout out all of those folks. Welcome you to the podcast. Welcome you to the channel here. It's so exciting for us to see that growth. And so for those of you who are wondering who this lady is, let's give a quick introduction to Sunny, longtime diehard Washington Capitals fan. Sunny, why don't you quickly tell everyone who you are and why you're here, and maybe just tell us one thing that you were looking forward to over the remainder of this Washington Capitals season here as it does begin to wind down.
Yeah, so in my previous episodes that I had come on, I mentioned that I was a Capitals fan. Actually, well, I'll admit I used to be a Boston Bruins fan. It's ridiculous now that I say it out loud. But I used to be until I saw the light, as Janaea mentioned in previous episodes. So I've been a Capitals fan for about, it'll be 11 years this year, which is a long time for me because actually, and I wasn't really a Boston Bruins fan. I was just kind of like one of those people that just say they like a team, but they know nothing about the team. No, nothing about the team. No, none of the players. No, don't even know what position they play for. Like, just I like the Boston just because. So, anyways, but different story with the Capitals. I really have fallen in love with the team and how they've differed from 10 years ago of what they look like now, and kind of what's happening right now, where we transition into the older to the newer generation of players. So it's actually a really exciting time to see that conversion. Also sad, but it is exciting at the same time. And as you mentioned, you're having conversation about Cole Hutson, so that ties into the, moving over, I guess, the torch, you could say. So, yeah, I looking forward to speaking and talking about that. But yeah, longtime Capitals fan, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing kind of what we can grow off of next season from the remaining games. I think it's really important just to see Dubois. The last couple of games, we've seen how effective Dubois was, and what he does for the team, and so I think we can all kind of just exhale a little bit because I feel like people have been freaking out watching these games, seeing us lose. But everybody needs to remember, like, it's not like we've been blown out at these games, like maybe a couple of games, but really we've been playing pretty decently when we, actually come out and play. So, I mean, people just need to exhale, we're gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine next year. Just relax, so I'm looking forward to it.
It has been a ton of one goal losses this season, a ton of one goal losses. And yeah, I think that's important what you just said about Pierre-Luc Dubois, right? Like we didn't have him for almost the entire season.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think it is really important seeing the way that he has been playing since he's come back from that injury, because it was a little bit of a concern. Like we were a little bit concerned with how he was going to look after that injury, given that he had to have that pretty complicated surgery, right?
Yeah.
And that is an injury and surgery, particularly that, some players have a little bit of trouble coming back from and looking the same way that they did before they got injured, right? So I
Yeah.
think, it's really important for us here, seeing that Pierre-Luc Dubois has come back from this injury, come back from this surgery, and he looks just as good, if not even better, than he did, before he got that surgery. So I think that's going
Yeah.
to be really big for the team going forward and moving into next season, is that he does appear to have recovered quite well from that, and he is playing at a very high level here for the Caps. And yeah, like you said, like pretty much what we can do at this point now. It does look like the Caps are going to miss the Stanley Cup playoffs this season in all likelihood. Obviously, they've had a ton of injuries and other things going on this season. So I think like as the season winds down here, things to watch out for primarily are what you said, like things that we can look at for heading into next season, whether it's like how Pierre-Luc Dubois looks coming back from that surgery, whether it is how these young players and prospects are playing. Obviously, the big news this week, which we'll get into here, is the arrival of star prospect Cole Hutson to the team. But there's some other young guys too who certainly I would like to get a look at, from down with the Hershey Bears right now. Ilya Protas, Andrew Crystal. These are players who I would like to see get a look here at the end of this season, just so that we can, kind of not only see what they look like at the NHL level currently, but also just to get them a few games under their belt at the NHL level and get them feeling comfortable with that. So that if we do need them next season, if we do determine that they are ready to be full-time NHL players next season, they'll already have those few games under their belt where they've been able to get a little bit more comfortable, just like we saw with Ryan Leonard, right? When he
Mm-hmm.
first
Mm-hmm.
came to the team, signed his, same as Cole Hutson, right? Signed his 3-year entry-level contract coming out of college. It was at the end of a regular season and heading into the Stanley Cup playoffs. So he only played, I believe it was 10 games at the end of that regular season and then the
Yeah.
playoffs as well. But for him, those games were huge, right? Because he got a chance to get comfortable at the NHL level. And then when he came into the next season for his first full season as a player in the National Hockey League, he was a completely different player than he was for those first 10 games or so, right? He just looked so
Yeah.
much more comfortable, so much more confident. So for me, I would like to see a few of these guys who are currently down with the Hershey Bears, like an Ilya Protas, like an Andrew Crystal. I would like to see those guys get some games here coming up at the end of this regular season, just so that we can get them more comfortable at the NHL level. So that, like I said, if we do determine next season that they're ready to be in the NHL full time, they have a little bit of that experience and they can feel more confident in their game and they can kind of, just start off rolling right from the get go next season, right? But yeah, this episode, as the title indicates, the big news, like I said, huge news. The arrival of star prospect Cole Hutson joins the Washington Capitals officially here, signs his 3-year entry-level contract with the team, coming out of college early, just like I said, as Ryan Leonard did. And yeah, Cole Hutson, like for those who don't know, you're going to want to get to know this guy as a Washington Capitals fan. Kind of like you said, a huge passing of the torch moment here for the Washington Capitals franchise as they trade out franchise defenseman John Carlson, right, who had been here for 17 years. He's 36 years old now. They trade him to the Anaheim Ducks. Obviously, they had the assumption that Cole Hutson was going to be signing his entry-level contract. So they're able to make that move. They move John Carlson out to free up a spot and free up minutes for Cole Hutson. And now we have this kind of passing of the torch moment, like you said. We'll keep alluding to that. But it really is, right? Like it's one franchise defenseman on the way out and the next potential franchise defenseman coming in. So obviously, we don't want to put that type of pressure on Cole Hutson. John Carlson, leaves some really, really, really big shoes to fill in terms of how long he was here for, everything that he accomplished, winning the Stanley Cup, obviously. But yeah, I mean, it is exciting times in terms of like some of these young kids coming in, and certainly Cole Hutson. So yeah, for Caps fans who don't know, Cole Hutson, he is a star prospect, what you would call a super prospect, one of the best players who was not currently in the National Hockey League. A couple of really good really high scoring years at Boston University as a young player. And yeah, like you have to remember, Cole Hutson is still only 19 years old. He is still a teenager. So yeah, a couple of really, really, really good years, really high scoring years, like I said, at Boston University as a young player, a couple of really good showings in back-to-back years at the World Junior Championships, where he won back-to-back gold medals, playing on the top defensive pairing for Team USA. And he actually set a World Junior record for the most points ever scored by a defenseman in a single tournament, with a whopping 11 points in just 7 games played for USA. And he also became the first defenseman ever in World Junior history to lead the entire tournament in scoring, outscoring all of the forwards at the tournament, which is pretty fucking insane. He also set the Team USA record for the most career World Juniors points, despite the fact that he had that nasty, scary injury at the most recent World Junior Championship, right?
Hmm.
The 2026 World Junior Championship. Really, really scary injury. And so he was limited in that tournament to only playing 3 games. But yeah, I mean, 10 total career games at the World Junior Championships. That was enough for him to set the Team USA record for the most points ever recorded by a defenseman. And that is a program that has seen, the likes of Quinn Hughes, Zach Werenski, John Carlson, Cole's older brother, Lane Hutson, as well, who, of course, he plays for the Montreal Canadiens now in the NHL. So that is a Team USA program that has had some really, really high scoring defensemen come through that program and play for that team, right? And yet, here's Capitals prospect Cole Hutson outscoring all of them and taking all of those all-time records. And it was the same thing for him at the U.S. national team development program level, by the way, where he broke all of these records previously set by all of these really high scoring National Hockey League defensemen, outperforming guys like Quinn Hughes and his older brother Lane. Cole set new records for things like the most points ever by a defenseman in a single season, the most points ever by a defenseman in total in program history. And so these are obviously huge records that he has broken, that were previously set and held by very good NHL defensemen, right? Like perennial Norris Trophy candidates and winners of that award as the NHL's top defenseman. And so all of these things would seemingly point to Cole Hutson having a very, very, very bright future in the NHL on the Washington Capitals blue line. And so I think like that's obviously very positive information, right? As we look at everything that he's been able to accomplish already. And so yeah, Sunny, like why don't you just tell us like what do you remember from watching Cole Hutson in the World Junior Championships, playing against our team Canada at points of those tournaments? And just tell us like what your impressions were of him. What did you think of his game and what are you the most excited for as he now begins his Washington Capitals career officially here?
So I do remember when we were watching, and I remember specifically because it was like almost like a tag team, or not really a tag team, but between him and Leonard, like it was like, what can't they not do on the ice? That's kind of what my like sentiment was after watching both of them. And I like the minute Leonard was on our team last year when we put him on, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited to see this kid, how he's gonna come out. And like same with Cole, like just watching him on the ice, like when you see like, for example, see a Jacob Chikrin, like how like we're like, where did this player come from? You know what I mean? Like you never expected Jacob Chikrin to do what he's doing on the ice as a defenseman, offensive defenseman, right? So we really I noticed in the last couple of years, like we never really like aside from Carlson, like like correct me if I'm wrong, but like we just recently started to get more offensive defensemen, if you know what I mean. And so like Cole Hudson's like a two-in-one guy too. Is like if you need an offensive defenseman who's actually effectively like he's effective in being a defenseman as well, like not just playing offense, but also doing what you're supposed to be doing is playing defense. And we kind of need that offense in the back end as well because we can't always rely on, our front tiers to get goals. And so I think that's been like in the last couple of games and the last year or so, we've actually relied a lot on our back end to be scoring goals as well. And keep in mind, we don't have Carlson anymore as we think we know. So, and he used to score goals for us. So getting subtracted from Carlson and having Cole Hutson, you're kind of, I think They played differently though, to be honest, because when I saw
Oh
Cole
yeah,
Hutson, oh, yeah, like totally different.
way different.
Um,
Yeah.
it's like seeing a forward, but he's a defenseman, and just the way he skates, he's so fast. You don't even know what he's gonna do till he does it, and his shot is killer. It's not like it's a hard shot, from what I understood, but it's a fast whip, like it's almost like it's
So
in the net
accurate.
before you can even see it gonna
If you
happen.
if you
So
go if you go and watch all of his highlights, like from Boston University, every goal that he scores goes ting, posting in, crossbar and in. Like
we
his
need that because
his
we keep hitting posting out and we need posting in. If you watch the last few games of Capitals, oh my God.
his
It's so
yeah, that shootout against the Boston Bruins, three pipes, but and all of them posting out, all three. But yeah, his shot is so deadly accurate, and I like what you said there. Like the Washington Capitals, like they have one of the highest scoring blue lines in the entire National Hockey League. I believe it is the highest scoring blue line in the National Hockey League this season. So obviously, like you said, you subtract John Carlson from that, who was almost a point per game this season. So that is a big loss. It's a big loss for now. We don't know if he's going to be back on July 1st or
yeah,
not.
that's kind of what I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's undetermined.
I think there's a pretty good chance of that happening actually. But they'll probably wait and see how Cole Hutson looks at age 19 before they make a decision there. But yeah, you subtract a guy like John Carlson and you are immediately replacing him with someone who projects to be probably even better than that defensive or offensively rather. So they do play differently, like you just said. I think it's a different style of offense. I think John Carlson, like he's always had a way of racking up points. Obviously, he has the heavy, heavy, heavy slap shot,
Shot.
right? And he's always had a way of racking up points. Cole Hutson, he's more like pure high octane highlight reel offense. He actually plays more like Jacob Chikrin than he does
That's kind of what I
John
was
Carlson.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I
Um,
referenced him.
he's kind of like an even silkier version of Jacob Chikrin, which is really, really exciting. The kid can skate. Man, can he
Yeah.
skate? And that's something that is really integral to Jacob Chikrin's game, right? Is he's such a phenomenal skater. So I think that they have that in common, whereas John Carlson, maybe not the best skater, not the fastest skater anyway. So I think Cole Hutson is kind of a higher octane version of offense, and I think that that's going to be really exciting to watch. If you've watched his brother play, his older brother Lane with the Montreal
Yeah.
Canadiens, like
Yeah.
they're basically from people who watch them both through college, like they're pretty much the exact same player. Cole has even been a little bit better than his older brother Lane at the same age. So that's very exciting, obviously, as a Capitals fan. His older brother, Lane Hutson with the Montreal Canadiens, obviously he won the Calder Trophy as the NHL's top rookie. So that's something that Cole can aspire to next season as well in his first full season. But yeah, we don't want to put too much pressure on the kid, but he is a very exciting prospect, right? I caution people and fans to not put so much pressure on him right away because he is still just 19 years old. So, you don't want to stick that label and that pressure on him and be like, you have to be the savior kind of thing. But I do think he's a very exciting prospect. So I think moving forward here, the Caps, they have a lot of really exciting young kids coming up. This is one of them. And this is the biggest piece that they had coming up on the back end, right? Certainly the biggest piece offensively on the back end. So it's going to be really exciting to watch him get his career underway here with the Washington Capitals.
Hmm.
There is a good chance, it seems like, that we might see him debut as soon as Wednesday, as soon as tomorrow.
Exciting.
Yeah, in that game against the Ottawa Senators. So they had him. They had him at practice this morning. This morning being Tuesday morning. This was Cole Hutson's first practice with the Washington Capitals since signing his entry level contract. So his first practice, and they had him already on a defensive pairing with Matt Roy at practice this morning. So that's, I like that. Like I like it because of the fit, first of all. Like I think that is a pairing that could work really, really well. I like that pairing for Cole Hutson specifically as a rookie coming in, playing his first games in the National Hockey League because Matt Roy, obviously he's one of the most experienced, one of the most veteran defensemen that we have on the back end there. And he's just a really steady, really reliable partner to put Cole Hutson with in his first games in the NHL, right? So yeah, I really like that fit. I think that's a kind of a perfect guy to pair him with for his first games because if Cole Hutson is making a mistake out there as a young player, Matt Roy is going to back him up, right? So
Hmm.
I really like that fit. Sonny, what do you like about that pairing? Just coming right out of the gate here and putting him right with Matt Roy.
Well, like I think it's this kind of same thing that with what they're trying to do with Leonard too. And I think, like you said, like you mentioned about the responsibility, like kind of it's easy to kind of throw him in there in a game where it's new to him. And like we all know that the NHL, it's more grittier and it's more kind of like, tougher, I guess you could say. I don't watch all the games in like Boston College games, but it vastly differs. And I feel like it is a big shock to them. So I think he's going to come in there and having Roy on the side kind of allows that kind of like buffer of protection, I guess you could say, to kind of like not protect him on the ice, but kind of let him know, hey, like keep your head up, or like just simple things that can make a difference in a game, right? Because young guys are excited to play. They're not really, ready for that big, like you saw with Leonard. Like, I mean, that Trouba hit was pretty like, controversial, but well, aside from that, but like they're really into the game, and so I think sometimes they kind of maybe they're just too new and too amped up, and then they kind of,
Not
they're not
keep not
ready.
keeping their head up yet.
Yeah, they're not ready for it. And so maybe like small tweaks and minor like notes to take from guys like Roy for sure, and even other defensemen on our team, that can make a big difference in how they play and what they think on the ice, especially their IQ and what they're thinking of how they play the puck, whether it's on a power play, whether it's, penalty kill or whatever. And I don't know if they're going to be having Cole Hutson on a penalty kill. Like I'm not sure what
Probably not, no.
no, I don't think so. But then just in general, yeah, I think taking those notes because that really helps a new guy too, right? Because they're kind of wanting to make an impression on the team, and like sometimes they kind of overdo it too. And the last thing you
Overzealous.
want, yeah, overzealous. So the last thing you want them to do is get hurt or injured
They
or
get a
just,
little they get a little horny out there, the rookies do.
yeah. I mean, you
They're
saw it with Leonard,
yeah.
you know what I mean? And I like,
And
when he got
Leonard's like
injured,
Leonard came in like he's already got a man's body, right? Like he's a
yeah,
beast.
yeah.
Cole
So
Hutson obviously like he is an undersized defenseman, right? But
yeah,
there are quite a few of those in the NHL nowadays who have a lot of success, right? Like a Quinn Hughes, like his
yeah,
brother Lane Hutson in Montreal. So it's a pretty common thing nowadays for there to be undersized defensemen in the NHL who do have a lot of success. And for him, like I don't think he pretty much for sure won't be on the penalty kill right away, I would say. But like you mentioned about his defensive game, I do think that one thing that I've heard about Cole Hudson that I like is that, while obviously there are always going to be defensive warts, let's say, with a player who's that young, who's just 19 years
hmm,
old coming into the NHL. They're always going to make some mistakes, and probably a lot of them, which is fine. They're young, they're learning. But something that I have heard about him is that even though he does for sure need to, work on his defensive game in order to get it to an NHL level, he apparently has the compete level to be able to do that and to be able to get there eventually. Like everyone who has watched this guy play extensively at Boston University says that while his defensive game does have some warts to it, he has worked on it a lot and it's gotten a lot better for him to now be able to make this NHL jump, and that he has that compete level that like he wants to be good defensively. He doesn't just want to be an offensive defenseman. Like he has
yeah,
that commitment to wanting to get better defensively as well. And so I think that's really important to have in a young player. And that's as well why I like this pairing of starting him out with Matt Roy, because Matt Roy is the most defensively responsible defenseman on the team, right? Or at least the most defensively responsible right-handed defenseman on the team that you can pair him with. Obviously, we have a couple of guys who are really good
yeah.
defensively: Martin Feravari, Rasmus Sandin.
Sandine,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're all really good. But Matt Roy, right-handed, Cole Hutson on his left side. It seems like a perfect fit to me. And I also like it as well. I mentioned this to you off air earlier today. I also like it because this signals to me that head coach Spencer Carberry plans on giving Cole Hutson a lot of ice time right off the bat.
Thank God.
Because Matt Roy plays a lot, right? Like he gets a lot of minutes. So this is not like a third pairing assignment for Cole Hutson. This is clearly like we're throwing you right into the fire. Let's see what you can do. You're gonna make mistakes. It's okay. You know, let's make those mistakes. Let's learn from them. Let's get them out of our system. And then when we come into next season, he's going to have that much more confidence to his game, right? Because that's what you need to do with young players. Like
Yeah, I
you
was
you
gonna
have
say,
you have to
yeah.
throw them into the fire. You have to let them make mistakes. You got to let them,
But
make those mistakes and learn from them, and they're so much better for it afterwards.
that's kind of what I was saying, that it's a good thing, like even what they did with Leonard, like even though like we know we are probably not gonna like make it past the first or second round in the playoffs, but having put Leonard on near the end of the season when we were able to put him on, was good because it got it out of his system.
Yep.
And you can tell because, he was playing okay, but like, not to the level obviously to what we needed. And then we saw this year, like it just boom, like it came like a freight train. We're like,
Yep.
wow, like, oh my God, right? So, it's kind of almost like, like just dipping your feet in this year and just kind of exhaling and just kind of getting the jitters out of you for these first few games in the NHL. And then next year you can kind of focus on, okay, what's my game? What do I need to do to, you know, make it to that level of what I need to do for the rest of the season. And so I think it is good that they do bring these guys up. And like you mentioned, they should have been doing this actually for the other guys too, like you mentioned Protus and Crystal. Like they should have been doing that this year too, just to kind of throw them in there a little bit because you never know. Next year you might need a guy to bring up from the Hershey Bears just in case for games and like what like just
Not even
not
to bring
effective because they've never played a game. So how does that even work?
And not even to bring up, sorry to almost cut you off there, but
Sorry.
not even to bring up next season. Like I probably want those guys on the team next season on the opening night roster. Ilya
Yeah.
Protas, I think for sure. Like from all accounts, everyone who has watched him play in Hershey all season is like this guy is ready. He's ready. And we can use more
We
offensive
can use more
punch,
offense,
Yeah.
that's for sure. Can't fucking score one goal. I'm pretty sure we can use a guy or two. Holy
And
shit.
then like an Andrew Crystal is a guy who like whenever he eventually comes up, like he is going to help the power play. So that might be a player that you might want to get
Yeah.
a look at, right?
And you know what? I think it'd be beneficial to have like we have Jacob Trickren on the power play. We just recently started putting him on the power play.
Yep.
But like, having Cole Hutson on the power play, can you imagine our power play? Like adding these guys slowly but surely, like our power play is gonna be, it's gonna be a system again. Like right now, it's sort of like it's kind of like they
It's
kind of
awful.
tried
Let's not
different.
sugar
It's
it's fucking awful. Let's not sugarcoat it. It's terrible. It's
it's
disgusting.
terrible.
It's a disgrace. It's an embarrassment. It is
But
unwatchable.
he changed it like when he put Dubois in place, and I can't remember who he replaced the person with. Maybe it was Strome, I think. But yeah, like you just need new personnel. Like, and I think having Cole Hudson, it'll add more pressure to the other team because now like you're not just worried about three guys, you're worried about the back end, which they're already worried about Jacob Chikrin as well. And they used to worry about John Carlson Shot. But now you've got multiple guys that you're worried about all five of the guys now instead of just worried about Ovi. You know what I mean? Like,
And
so Evan Wilson.
I think Cole Hutson is a guy who like quarterbacking the power play, like as we've seen him do at
Yeah.
Boston University, as we saw
Yeah.
him do in the World Junior Championships, like as his brother does, who he projects to be very much a similar player to, as his brother does for the Montreal Canadiens, quarterbacking their power play, like this is a player who he just adds another element to the power play because he's just so fucking shifty out there.
Fast.
He's so
Yeah.
fast and so shifty. Like the penalty killers, the defenders, whether it's a 5-on-5 or on the penalty kill, they don't know what he's going to do. Like
Same with Leonard.
yeah, Leonard is the same way past like the minute that they put Ryan Leonard onto the power play, finally it was
Yeah.
better, right? It finally
Yeah, I
got better.
know.
And it was kind of like when he got injured that everything kind of fell off the rails, right? I think Ryan Leonard, if he didn't get injured this season, he would have had a really good shot at, contending for the Calder Trophy. Like Matthew Schaefer probably is going to win it running away here. But yeah, I think Ryan Leonard, before he got injured, like he was right there for the Calder Trophy. So, yeah, these are young players who are creative. And Cole Hudson
Yeah.
specifically coming in now, I think is really going to help the power play. If not this season, if he's not on it right away, then next season, certainly. But I do think that like that is an area where he can obviously help
Yeah.
immediately if given the chance by the coaching staff, right, is on the power play, which, like I said, has been pathetic for the Washington Capitals all season long here.
Like so bad. Like that's literally the reason, aside from shootouts, but that's literally the reason why we lose, why we've lost those games because we can't score even if we get two. We can't even score on the power play. Like one,
All of
one
our
out of every, like, you know what I mean? Like think of how many fucking games there have been where we haven't scored just one goal.
all of
One
our
goal.
all of our losses this season are one goal losses, and they are all one goal losses where we get nothing on the power play and we give up a power play goal or two against, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the power play, like, it is probably the biggest reason why they're in all likelihood going to miss out on the Stanley Cup playoffs this season. I don't think that anyone would argue that, right? And, obviously, like, the power play is something that we've covered extensively here on this show. We have ranted and raved about it. And so I don't feel that we need to get too much into that again here today. But yeah, I mean, stuff is to say, like, that that is an area of the Washington Capitals game that needs help, right? And Cole Hutson, young as he is, he can definitely
Hmm.
help in that area. And so my hope is that the coaching staff gives him a chance to do so. That's all I'll say. I hope that they are not going to be like, let's just keep shoving the same five guys out there because they're veterans. No, enough. You have this talented young player who, by all accounts, again, like like if you don't want to put pressure on him, calling him like a savior of the entire team and franchise, you can call him a savior of the power play because I think that's a
Yeah.
pretty safe bet. Like we've seen enough of it with him at Boston University in the World Junior Championships. Like I said, like he is a power play savant. Like you need to have this guy out on your power. It's probably not going to be on the top unit right away because I don't think that like you said, they didn't make that switch of finally taking John Carlson off of the power play and replacing him with Jacob Chikrin. They didn't do that until much later in the season,
Yeah.
and the power play did improve quite a bit when they did that. And so I don't think that Jacob Chikrin has done anything to warrant him like being taken off of the power play.
Yeah, no,
He's a
no, for
he's a
sure.
he's a massive scoring threat himself in his own right.
Hmm.
So I don't think that he deserves to be taken off of the top power play unit, but I do think that 19-year-old Cole Hutson, you can at least put him on the second unit, get him some power play time, see, what that looks like and what it helps, and you can then see from there, how you want to mix up the two units. But it's also just like we said for all areas of the game, it's also important because it gives him, in this his first partial season here in the NHL, it gives him those first reps on an NHL power play unit against NHL penalty killing, right? Gets him those reps, gets him that experience, gets him to work out all the kinks, gets him to gain more confidence against NHL players. And then you come into next season, just like we've said about all these guys, right? How we want Ilya Protas, Andrew Crystal to get some time here because you want them to get these reps here now when this season is already pretty much lost so that they can come into next season having a lot more confidence in themselves at the NHL level and we can just get off on the right foot right away next season, right? I think that's going to be so important here coming down the stretch. So I don't know what you think about what I just said about that, like about the power play units. Like, I don't know. Do you think they should just throw him on the top unit and take Jacob Chikrin off or?
No, no. I think there's a couple of guys you could change on the top unit for sure. Like Strom's been terrible, but that's a different conversation. But what if we were like, if Cole Hudson was even on the second unit, like why not have a mix of Dubois, Cole Hudson, Leonard, Ethan Frank? I can't remember if he's a which side winger he is, but like, a mix of that and then have like a Farivari in the back end, right? Like
Or
that's
can
a
I
unit.
can I say something radical here
What?
that we've never pretty much done throughout Alex Ovechkin's entire.
Or put Alex Ovechkin on the second unit with the young guys.
No, no, no.
Like,
Listen to what I'm going to say. Something that we have pretty much not done throughout Alex Ovechkin's entire
not put him on.
entire 20 plus year career here. No, not put him on. Just listen to what I'm going to say, please. He's always been in the same spot on the power play, right? On the left
Yeah.
flank to rip his one-timers. That's always where he's been, and rightfully so. It has always worked up until this season, right? Most power play goals of all time. There is no disputing that he is the greatest one-timer in the history of the National Hockey League. He should have been on the left flank for those 20 plus years. There was no reason to ever take him out of that spot. This season, the power play is not working. I submit to you and to the coaching staff, should they ever hear this, that'll never happen, but this is my suggestion. Try two defensemen up top on the point because now you have Jacob Chikrin and you have Cole Hutson. So why not try two defensemen at the top? Put Alex Ovechkin in the bumper spot in front of the net and let him take his shots from in close there in the slot, right? Instead of like they've been trying to get the puck to him for one-timers all season. It has not worked. No, mostly because it was John Carlson in that spot, quarterback in the power play for much of this season. And John Carlson just didn't have it from that spot there this season. Like every single pass to Alex Ovechkin has been outside of his wheelhouse. He has pretty much not gotten a pass in his wheelhouse all season on the power play. So he just hasn't been able to take those one-timers, but just try something different here. Like try putting Alex Ovechkin down in the bumper spot in front of the net. Let him use his wicked shot from in tight there in the slot. He's going to draw a huge crowd there. Big distraction, lots of attention he'll get if he's down there in the slot. And that'll open up everything else, right? And then other guys can kind of create more around that. And now that you have these two defensemen in Chikrin and Hutson, who are both so capable offensively, right? And so creative, I think it would be really interesting to try. You're one of the few teams now in the National Hockey League that can probably deploy that scheme, like deploy two defensemen at the top there on the power play, and it could actually work. Most teams use four forwards and one defenseman, right? The Capitals were actually the team that popularized that with their Alex Ovechkin era power play. They're the team that started doing that, the four forwards, one defenseman thing. Every other team pretty much does that now. But the Capitals now here have a chance to be one of those few teams that could actually use two defensemen and it could actually work. And it would probably cut down on some shorthanded goals against as well, having two defensemen back like that, right? And two defensemen who can skate, not two defensemen, and one of them is slow-footed John Carlson, right?
Yeah.
Two defensemen who can skate at the point there and let them create around that massive distraction that is going to be Alex Ovechkin in the middle of the ice in the bumper spot, right?
It's funny you say that no one's going to hear you and listen to you, but I can't remember. I think it was about Leonard, something about Leonard. You had said something in a podcast, or maybe it was your recap videos that you do, but you had said something, and maybe like a month or so, month and a half ago, I can't remember. You were talking about putting Leonard on the power play. Put the fucking guy in the power play. Put the fucking guy in the power play. And they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. And then somehow somebody got the idea inkling to put him on the power play. And it was ironic because it just happened to be recently, a little bit after you said it. And boom. So you're saying that no one's going to hear you, but I don't know. Maybe we
I
will see the two defensemen in the back. You never know. So
I
just
do
letting you right now.
I do think some people are listening sometimes because I remember we were ranting about the power play and I was like, take fucking John Carlson off of it and put Jacob Chikrin on it and put Ryan Leonard.
Oh, that's what it was. Jacob Chikrin. Yes,
Yeah,
and
it
Leonard.
was Chikrin. It was replace
Yes.
Carlson with Chikrin, and it was put Ryan Leonard on the power play, and it was use Ethan Frank for zone entries. And it was like the next game that they did all three of those
Yeah,
things.
I
So
can't remember.
yeah.
But it was just like somebody's listening to your shit because I don't know. So you're telling me no one's listening, but if they put two defensemen in and Ovi goes in the middle, I'm telling you, somebody needs to hire you as a power play coach. Just saying, man.
I have
Just
coached.
saying.
I have coached before, but just in a volunteer capacity. But yes, if they would like to offer me a job, I'm listening. But no, it's no, it's just like a lot of these things. Like I'm not the only one saying these things. Like a lot of these changes, like they all season long here on the power play. Like a lot of these changes seemed really obvious to a lot of fans, and it's just Kirk Muller for whatever reason, who runs the power play, like he's been so stubborn and so hesitant to change anything on the power play. And it's like the minute that they finally changed something, like we said before, Ryan Leonard got injured, and they put him on the power play finally, and the power play was like immediately better,
Yeah, it
immediately.
was scoring every time we had a chance.
Yeah, they made
At
that
least one
change.
out of two or three.
Yeah, they made that change, and they made the change of taking John Carlson off of it and putting Jacob Chikrin as the quarterback. And those two changes, and it was like boom, the power play was good all of a sudden. And then Jacob Trouba tried to take Ryan Leonard's head off, and then the team went off a cliff after that. But yeah, it's just like a lot of these things. I think that's why people have been so frustrated with the power play this season as well, and with the
Yeah.
coaching of the power play, is because a lot of these changes have seemed really, really obvious to a lot of fans, and the changes like just haven't been made or weren't made until it was way too late, right? So
Hmm.
it's been really frustrating. But I do think that like Cole Hutson is a guy who you need to give power play time right away and let him, you know, like I said, get used to playing
Playing with those
against,
guys too.
yeah, developing chemistry with those guys on the power play,
Yeah.
and then also to get used to the level of checking that there is at the NHL level.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
used to quarterbacking a power play against NHL penalty killers, right? Because that's going to be different than college.
Yeah.
So let him get used to all of that, and then you come into next season, guns blazing, ready to roll, right? With everybody, all of these young players having a lot more confidence at the NHL level, just like we saw, like we said with Ryan Leonard, right? Ryan Leonard, those first 10 games that he played for the Caps at the end of that regular season versus like what he has looked like this season,
Yeah.
it's a completely different player,
Yeah, I
right?
know.
So
That's what I
like
meant. That's what I said.
yeah, you want guys to get that experience as soon as they possibly can, so that next season, like, what are we waiting for? Like, why are we waiting to compete here? We have all of these really good young players who, by all accounts, like I said, are ready down in Hershey. Let's bring them up, get them in, get them comfortable, and we next season we're ready to roll, right? So
I also find that they don't use Ethan Frank as much. Like, he's a good player. Like, I feel like he should get some more minutes as well. Like, I don't know how old he is off the top of my head, but
I think he's
isn't he pretty
26
old?
or
Okay,
maybe
so
28 now. I can't remember now.
yeah, he's pretty effective as well. Like, he's fast as well. So, I don't see him enough on the power play as well. I think he's on the second unit. But
He's
yeah.
on the second unit, yeah, and they use him for the zone entries, like I had said to do, right? On the second unit, and that's why the zone entries on the second unit are way better than the zone entries on the first unit, where it's Dylan Strome fucking around with the puck at the blue line
Oh
every
my
time,
God.
coming in with no
Get some
speed,
sleep,
right?
man.
I know we've been talking about this
Ugh.
just between the two of us off air, but I love Dylan Strome. He is one of my absolute favorite players on this Washington Capitals roster. I love him. He has been god awful ever since his wife had their baby. Like, I don't know if it's related, but like you all remember, like earlier in the season, we had that game. It was in Montreal, right? Where like she was going into labor and he wasn't going to be able to get back in time, and so then he played in the game. He had 3 assists, I believe, on all three Alex Ovechkin goals. Ovechkin got a hat trick against the Habs in that game. So Strome had an incredible game that game. His wife gives birth. They have a beautiful baby. Everything's great. Since then, he has been terrible. And I don't want to like say that those two things are connected, but it just seems like the man has not slept like in a long time. He kind of
Well,
looks like his eyes as well. Like he just looks tired all the time. Like, which it's a part of life. Like it's fine. Like it's cool. It is what it is. Hockey's not the only thing in the world. Like obviously your family is much more important than any hockey game. But I hope for his sake that he can get some sleep at some point here, because yeah, he looks like he has not slept in half a season, and he has played like it as well.
Well, I know we actually did a podcast and we talked about that where we're like, get some sleep, man. And then maybe like within a couple of games, he must have gotten some sleep because he was playing pretty okay, and then he dropped off again. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
He needs yeah, I don't know. He just needs to like chug some NyQuil before bed or something. I don't know. He's yeah, he's not having a typical
Chuck
Dylan.
some NyQuil.
He's not having a typical Dylan Strome season that
No.
we've been accustomed to seeing from him in a Washington Capitals jersey. He's not been that impactful. It's not just the point totals. Like it's more so like he's just kind of a guy out there. Like he's not impacting the game, right?
Hmm.
And to me it's especially on the power play. Like he's supposed to be kind of the straw that stirs the drink on that top power play unit,
Yeah.
and it just hasn't been there this season. And to me, that I know everybody wants to point fingers at the 40-year-old Alex Ovechkin, who never gets to touch the puck on the power play, by the way, because it never makes it there to him.
Oh, God
Um,
forbid he's standing for fucking couple of seconds. Like, oh my God, all you people that are like, oh, get the 40-year-old that just stands around and doesn't do anything. I'm like, there's a reason why he's standing there. Like,
well, he's waiting for a pass that's never going to come because the other four guys on the ice are fucking around with it until
last time I
it gets
remember when he
blown
was
out of the
young,
zone.
I remember when he was younger, he was standing around and Backstrom would pass to him and boom, goal.
He's always been standing in that
That's what I
spot.
mean. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like it's because he's 40. He's
Yeah.
been doing it
It's
since he's been on
because
the power
if you
play.
go back and were to watch every single one of the Washington Capitals power plays this season, the amount of times that the puck has never made it over to him is incredible. Like he has not received any passes for his
I'm
one
sorry.
timer all season.
But there's
No,
other players and other teams that just stand around as well and wait for the puck. So how's that any different?
it's not any different. But my point
No.
is that the other four guys on the ice, if that's going to be the go-to play that Kirk Muller has drawn up, then you need to make it like you need to actually make the pass over there happen. He doesn't touch the puck, Sonny, on the power play. Like
I know, I've seen it.
I don't get how it can be his fault when he never touches the puck. Like it never makes it over to him. The other four guys on the ice fumble it before it ever gets there and it gets kicked back out of the zone and then
Yeah.
they can't get it back in. Like it's the same shit every time. And to me, like I said, Dylan Strome is supposed to be the straw that stirs the drink on the Washington Capitals power play. And to me, he has been the biggest reason this season why it sucks, why their power play sucks, because he is just not doing anything out there and he's losing the puck a lot. Like he's fumbling the puck a lot. He's just not been,
Turnover.
yeah, he's just not been himself. So, and again, I love Dylan Strome. Like he's one of my favorite Caps. You know that. Like I've said this hundreds of times. I love the guy. But yeah, something is off with him this season. So let's just hope that whatever it is gets sorted out over the off season and he can come back next season and be himself again because they need him to be, right? Like he's their top
Yeah.
line center. He has to be a lot better than he has been this season. And yeah, particularly on the power play for me. Like to me, like I said, everybody wants to place the blame at the feet of a 40-year-old who's over there on the left side, barely touching the puck. But to me, the guy who has been the most responsible for the power play being garbage has been the guy who has the puck the most on the power play, and that is Dylan Strome, because he's just not making any plays happen that he would normally make happen, right? So it's got to get sorted out. I don't know. Like, we'll see what it looks like now with Cole Hutson here. We'll see if they call anybody else up from Hershey to, try out some of these other guys. Like I said, I think Andrew Crystal is a guy who like will be on the power play here in Washington eventually and can help it a lot. He's a pretty crafty playmaker. But yeah, I mean, it's just like this is something we've talked about it. Like I said, here I said we're not going to talk about the power play on this show, and here we are yet again talking about the power play.
We can't help
Um,
ourselves. It's
well,
word vomit.
it really is. It's the biggest reason why they're going to miss the playoffs, Sunny. So like we have to talk about it because it is the biggest reason why they're not going to be participating in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The power play has been garbage and they've lost all of these games this season by a single goal, right? Just so
Hmm.
many one goal losses where a power play goal could have made the difference. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just I just like you said, like I'm just I can't subscribe to this belief that like Alex Ovechkin's going to retire and that's immediately going to fix the power play because he won't be on it anymore. It's like that's just it's not what I'm seeing out there at all. As someone
Yeah.
who has played hockey for my entire life, it's just not what I'm seeing. So I get that people are frustrated and so they're trying to like point fingers at,
Fingers, yeah.
whatever they think it is. I don't disagree that like, he doesn't need to play
The
the
whole
whole 2 minutes of
two
every power
minutes,
play,
yeah.
that's for sure, especially when we're getting shorthanded goals scored against us because he can't skate, right? Like
Yeah.
he has slowed down a lot. Like I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing with people who say that he, like I said, that he doesn't need to play the whole 2 minutes of every power play. People who say that he has slowed down. Like I'm not disagreeing with any of that. It's all true. I'm just saying that I don't think taking him off of the power play is going to fix anything because there are other problems on this power play right now that are much bigger problems than a guy who is standing over on the left flank, not even touching the puck. So that's all I'm saying. But yeah, anything else that you want to add there, or we pretty much can wrap it up here?
Um, well, yeah, I'm gonna stop talking about the power play, but yeah, no, I'm really looking
Mhm.
for. I really do hope that they bring up a couple guys, aside from like from Hershey, just to kind of play around. Like it'd be really exciting to just throw like I think you mentioned it before, but like the tower, the twin towers of Protus and Protus, like just throwing that line out just for shits and giggles on like just the last couple of games, just to kind of see and get the feels for it, and get just people juiced up for the next upcoming season. It's pretty exciting. So.
Yeah, it's like give us something to be excited about, right?
Yeah.
Like heading into next season.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
I think a lot of people are really, really excited for Little Pro, for Ilya
Yeah.
Protas.
Yeah.
Because, from everyone who I know, a couple of season ticket holders down there in Hershey, and everybody says the same thing. Like, this guy is ready for the National Hockey League and he is going to be a star. So, yeah, I think it's really exciting. And I would like to see them bring him up for at least part of the end of the season here, just to
Yeah.
give us something to get excited about when we're missing the
Yeah.
playoffs. Give us kind of a little carrot on a stick, if you will, like, for next season.
Elmer
Just
Fudd. Here you go,
there you go.
rabbit.
Follow the carrot and give us your money for season tickets next season. Just, because no, they should though, like,
I know.
do something to get people excited for next season because this is gonna hit people hard if Alex
Like a
Ovechkin
morning.
retires. Yeah, like if Alex Ovechkin is retiring after this season, like that's gonna hit the fan base really hard. So I think it
Yeah.
would do them well as a franchise to give people kind of something to get a little bit excited
Sometime.
about
Yeah.
here at the
Yeah.
end and at the end of the
Yeah.
season because a lot of folks know, a lot of the people who are watching our show here for sure are like diehard, they're like the diehard Washington Capitals fans who follow everything. And so
Hmm.
everyone who's probably watching our show here right now is well aware of how good the Washington Capitals prospect system is right now. And so
Yeah.
all of these folks know, and we know that there is a lot to be excited about. But I think like for the casual fan who maybe just, buys tickets to, a game here or there, for the casual fan, I think like you should call some of these guys up and show them to the casual fan and show them how good these guys are and that there's something to be excited about for the
Look
future
forward to,
here
yeah.
when Alex Ovechkin retires, right? So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens here. It's yeah, we're winding down. Like there's only what do we got now? 14 games left.
Oh wow, 14.
Yeah, 14 games left,
Because we've
presumably
played
here.
the most games, ironically. Wonder why that is.
Well, that's
Every
why
year.
that's why we're doing a podcast here now because we finally get a couple of days in between games. Like I
Like
feel like I haven't had a break all season.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's been super smashed
We
together
all know
here.
it's done on purpose. There's no way it's not done on purpose.
Well,
Just
we
to
have we have played like the most back-to-backs in the league, I think. At least that was true earlier this season, and I believe it probably still is true because we've played a lot of them. But yeah, I mean, we're winding down here now. We'll see what happens for the rest of this season. Presumably, like I said, they will not be in the Stanley Cup playoffs. If they are, it's because a miracle has happened and they've put together just like an all-time run to get
Oh
in.
man. Or if other people start losing, like it ain't gonna do it if people don't lose.
Well,
Like
this is the
the
thing.
fucking New York Islanders do not deserve to be on the fucking playoffs. Okay, they got two people. They got the goalie and they got Schaefer. That's
Yeah.
why they're in the fucking playoffs right now. Okay?
Matthew Schaefer deserves to be in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and Ilya Sorokin deserves to
Yeah,
be in
that's
the
it.
Stanley Cup
That's
playoffs.
it.
That's it. That's it.
Like go
Um,
home.
but no, it's I mean, it's true. Like none of these Eastern Conference teams have lost a game all season. It feels like.
Ridiculous.
Um,
Or loser points on the
the
overtime.
the Pittsburgh Penguins have 15 OTLs. Okay, 15 loser points, and they are going to be in. That is absurd. But every year there's one team like this, like where they get in just based on going to overtime so many times
Yeah.
and having so many overtime losses. This year, that's the Pittsburgh Penguins. But yeah, I mean, if you look over at the other conference, the Western Conference, I urge you not to do so as a Washington Capitals fan because
Oh, I've seen it.
it's really depressing. Because yeah, the Caps, like, they would likely be finishing in probably a top three spot in the Pacific Division, maybe even winning that division. The Pacific Division is complete and utter garbage, and there's going to be three teams in that division, in
Rightly
all,
deserved.
yeah, three teams in that division in all likelihood that are going to be in the top three in their division and in the Stanley Cup playoffs as a result, who have fewer standings points than a lot of the teams that are going to miss the Stanley Cup playoffs in the Eastern Conference. So it's a joke. It's a perfect argument for going back to like the old ways of like 1 through 16 seeding. I know they don't do that for travel reasons, but it something needs to be done because like you can't have three teams like that in the Pacific Division making the playoffs and all of these,
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
all of these better teams in the Eastern Conference going to be out of the playoffs, right? Like nobody wants to watch these garbage teams in the Pacific Division, play like a loser bowl against each other in the first round. Like, are you going to watch any of that? I'm not. I'm going to watch the top three in the Central Division kill each other. That's what I'm going to watch in the Western Conference. Zero interest in the Pacific Division. So yeah, something has to be done there. But yeah, in all likelihood, barring a miracle run, the Caps are going to miss the Stanley Cup playoffs. So we wind down here this season with that in mind. But we will still find things to talk about here at the Jenaya Talks Caps podcast. There's always something to talk about, right? And yeah, hopefully we will have some exciting things to look at here coming up, through the end of this regular season. Hopefully some young players being called up. Certainly with Cole Hutson's arrival, that is very exciting, and we will be taking a long look at that. And yeah, then we'll move into our off-season coverage. We'll probably do some coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs, even if the Capitals are not in the playoffs. And then we'll move into off-season coverage and everything that comes along with that for the Caps. So stay tuned here. If you haven't already done so, click on that subscribe button. If you do like the show, we would love to have you along here with us for this ride. We appreciate everyone who has subscribed recently. So many new subs recently. It's been really exciting, getting a lot more traction on YouTube specifically. We've kind of always had the traction on the audio platforms, but getting a lot more traction on YouTube now, which of course YouTube was something that I started kind of later in the game, right? I had the podcast in audio only for so long, and then we finally started doing a video version over on YouTube as well. And that's really starting to pop off now, as far as Capitals content is concerned. So that's been really exciting. So yeah, appreciate all of you so much, everyone who has subscribed recently, and of course all of our longtime subscribers as well. We really, really love and appreciate all of you guys. Drop us your comments down below. Let us know what you thought of today's show. What are you most excited for with the arrival of Cole Hutson? What are you looking at for the rest of this regular season here for the Caps? Just what have you thought of their play in general? What do you want to see going into the offseason? Leave us all of your comments. We always love reading those. And yeah, just click subscribe, click like, share us with your friends, family, coworkers, whoever it may be, any fellow Washington Capitals fan. Sonny, anything that you want to add before we sign off here?
I'll just look forward to the rest of the season, and maybe we'll see kind of what happens with Cole Hutson. Like I said, just looking forward to what the guys look like, going into summer break.
Summer break, yes. All right.
Summer break.
Well, until next time, babes. And as always, thank you all so much for being here. Until next time, and as always, let's go, Caps.
Let's go, Caps.